That question is so loaded, John. I don't even know where to start with that question. I guess the problem is, and by the way, John, I love that question.
Interesting. Yeah. Interesting. This is an interesting topic.
What's the solution here?
Show up, understand your part, and just crush it.
Pay-per-click, social media, we can talk about all this stuff, but what really matters is patient experience, that wow factor.
Startup Uncensored, the questions you have with the truths you need to hear. Now your hosts, Michael Dincio and John Bertagni.
All right. Welcome. Startup Uncensored. What episode is this? I don't even know what episode. Maybe Desra knows, but today we're going to be talking about marketing, which I don't know if you've been if folks have been following us through the whole season or the whole, I guess that's what it is, a season
process. It's a passion process.
We talk about marketing almost every single freaking episode. So today I'm super excited about what we're going to get into. We're going to get into the nitty gritty. This is going to be a two-parter. We've got one of the best in the industry, but let's hold off on the intro. John, welcome as always to the show, bud.
Well, thanks. Thanks for having me. I feel like I'm talking to a disciple of Run DMC with that Adidas jacket.
My name is Mikey D, or yeah. I mean, what do you want from me? I mean,
I just love it. I love it. No, this is actually fun because we talk about branding. We talk about enlisting your vision into a brand, even a logo, and then how we go to market. So this is huge because, and by the way, folks, when you're talking to a mic or you're talking to, a consultant, or if you're trying to do this on your own, hey, you guys got to start this early. And that's what we're trying to say. And that's what Mike just pinpointed. And I mean, that's how in sync we are. We're just incredibly in sync. But
weird.
I was going to bring up the point that we talk about marketing all the way through this process because you have to think of that as the end point of what type of patient you're going to bring and what brand you're bringing to the community. So I'm excited about this. And Desra Simpson of Affordable Image, we are so excited to have you on the showgram today. And you bring some dignity and austerity to the program for people that are watching this. Thank goodness.
Thank God. They're so sick of the testosterone in this room. It's finally we have someone that can I guess just live up to the woman power, I guess.
Ladies in here.
Ezra, thanks for being here, and thanks for being a part of our being a part of us, not only in this program, but the next one, because we have to break it up into two. There's too much to it, and it's actually too important.
Yeah.
So it's all you, my dear.
Yeah, no, I'm really excited to be here, guys. And, I think you're right. We need some more women power here. Yes, it's happening in the background, I promise. So, it's just not these two guys.
Yeah, thank God is right. That is actually an appropriate shout out. Affordable Image is the powerhouse behind all of our marketing. So if you're digging what we're doing, it's all kudos to them. John and I are just two idiots talking about this stuff.
But honestly, if you think about it, what's been going on in the background and how this is getting out to viewership and even some of the responses from the community as a whole. I mean, it's very, very powerful where we stand on SEO, SEM, and in the community. So this is great, and I'm so glad that Desra's speaking for the entire marketing community, but obviously, especially their process that they go through. So. Mm-hmm. I guess that, Mike, do you want to start some stuff off here? Because
let's get into it. Yeah, this is such an important topic. It's like I got cats running around my brain because we could talk about 100 things. But lately, I have been talking to my clients about marketing literally right after everything is dialed in from construction, equipment, technology. Like they usually have about 2 months, maybe sometimes 3 from the time like all of that is figured out. It's not executed, but it's figured out, planned, hired, permits. It's all flowing, and now it just needs to be executed. And a lot of dentists go into that mode, and they're getting so excited about the project, and they're feeling it, and they're like, oh, that's nice, and they get so into that. But what they need to do is quickly shift to the business.
Yeah.
And the business is really the most important thing of this whole thing, but they can get very absorbed into the construction and the process of it. And so identity, I always say, is identity, or your marketing pack, or your identity package, or your logo, as most people know, is really the first piece of this whole thing, because you can't market anything without that. And so, Desra, like, walk us through the process or some of the hot points on identity, and just what I see prices that are insane. And then I see, the online stuff from, India or whatever. Like, there's such a huge range. Break it down for us.
There is, and that's a really good way to kind of explain it. There is a range, but you also have to remember quality over quantity. A lot of times you'll go to these places, 99 Designs, not to call out names, but I mean, you get a bunch of ideas. You just throw it out there and you see what you like. With us, we get to know who you are. You are now part of the Affordable Image family. We're not just going to, do your logo and run. We want to make sure that it matches exactly what your interior looks like too. So if you have an interior designer, we love working with them. Love them. We get to say, hey, what color palette are you guys going to be working with? Right. We have the colors now. Are you going to be doing modern? Are you going to be doing this as like an industrial look? You don't want this foofy logo, and then you're getting like industrial wood and brick. So it really matters to us to find out what your vision is for this like practice. It is your practice. We want you to love everything.
So let me ask you a question. Some people do have the vision, and they do have something in mind from a logo perspective. There's also people that say, hey, I'm just getting out of this caged animal, whether it's working in a group or working in an associateship. And so what happens here? Like, what do you do? Like, hey, I have no idea. I'm paying you. You do it. How do you feel about that situation?
We do get that. And yes, it is harder. Because, sometimes what happens is we create what we think you may want and you may hate it. Yeah. But you know what? We go back and we make sure that the client is satisfied. Say if they are working with a consultant like, Mike, we go, hey, Mike, listen, we are having some issues. Can you give us some demographic? Can you get us in touch with their interior designer? Can you give us more, since they are obviously a little too busy and wrapped up? It happens and we get it. If that situation does happen, we push through. We figure it out.
Yeah, here's the thing. It's no different than a patient coming into the chair that has jacked up teeth, right? They don't know what the potential is down the road. It could be veneers. It could be whisper veneers. It could be crowns. It could be, extractions and denture and overdent. I mean, who knows what it is? It's the questioning of the dentist to the patient to find out what the options are. I'm assuming you guys have a protocol that you go through to say, hey, I get it. You don't know what this could look like, but we have you, right? Everyone wants to feel safe and that it's going to be okay. Yep. And that's what a good branding company does. And that's probably what you're not getting from, an offshore $9.99,
we have a creative meeting with our creative director, our art director. We have a logo questionnaire. We just finished one of Dinzio's clients' logos, and it came out perfect. And she was fully in communication with us. I want this, I like this, and these are our colors, and I want it to be clean, simple. And in that logo questionnaire, we ask those questions, we give examples, we then have about an hour and a half meeting sometimes about, really getting to know them, because it's important to us. And that's what matters, is that you have somebody that you can call and text.
Yeah. I'd like to add to this conversation that in my opinion, like, I get to be with these docs from literally start to finish. And what I find is, like, this identity package branding thing, it really exposes if the client is clear about their vision or not. Because we talk about vision well, we don't, John and I, we don't talk about vision as it's a buzzword. Everybody else does, but like the beginning of the process, like the very first episode of this season was vision, and there's a reason for it. And if you don't, we've said it 1,000 times, if you don't drive your vision through the entire process, including construction and architect, it's just going to turn out the way the architect wants it to be, or the equipment rep wants it to be.
What it is, it turns into a change order. It's going to cost you more money in the end, that you're not focused and you're just tangential in terms of where you're going. And
the branding that Desra and team and company is going to figure, they're going to be like, we don't know how the hell to help these guys, because they don't know what they don't know. And so to that point, I love that tip. That tip is perfect. If you don't communicate what you want and what you're envisioning, how is a marketing company going to put that on paper? And there is a science to it, is what I'm hearing.
Yes, 100%.
Cool. John,
yes.
Where are we going with this? I think we covered identity well.
So where I want to go with this is, in my mind, even in my world now, this branding, and we talk about the monetary units, that we have to preserve money for marketing and budget and signage, which a lot of people don't do, right? It gets eaten up, and then suddenly that bucket is gone.
Yep.
And you just have a horrible presence, or you have a plastic sign across the front of your office for 5 months, which is ridiculous, right?
Yep.
So I want to make sure that our listeners really keep that bucket intact, like they would for equipment, and like they would for construction, and like they would for IT and technology. That's
they want
paramount.
That bucket to be open, because imagine now, how are you going to promote those chairs? How are you going to promote those cabinets? How are you going to pay those off without marketing? How are you going to tell your clients or any potential patients out there, you have no marketing because you spent it on X, Y, and Z,
It literally, as a recovering banker, and I don't have my banker hat, but as a recovering banker banker, working capital and marketing dollars literally need to be, if we're talking dentistry, we need to put those in sealants right now. And yes, that's perfect. Put them in sealants, because nothing else matters. Literally nothing else matters. But if you don't have those dollars earmarked, you're smoked. And I would say, it is known. It is a fact. You could study it. The amount spent to the gross production in your first 12 months directly correlates to themselves. I mean, if you don't spend money, you're not going to make money, period.
Exactly. And unfortunately, that happens to us a lot. We get a lot of people that come in and say, no one ever told us about how we need a website, how we need a logo. No one talked about it. And we don't have any money. And it's hard when you hear that, and it breaks your heart. And so we have really awesome custom packages that we can say, okay, this is good for you. Let's start out small. Let's get you a presence, and then let's build up from there. So we understand.
So that's actually a great segue. So John, you talked about budgets and protecting them, and I think that's super huge. Let's talk about a startup specifically. because in my mind, the costs let's assume that we have our $25,000, $30,000 bucket that we have protected and had it in the sealant and we're good to go. And now it's time to start spending that money. How do you guys chop up that bucket? And let's briefly brush over SEO and really get into the nitty gritty on part 2.
Yeah.
Because we do need a budget for SEO, but I'm kind of leading the witness. How would you slice up the bucket? How would you slice up the bucket if you knew you had the average 25 to 30,000 the first year?
It is a year-long campaign, so you are not by yourself for a year. We help you for that full year. We start out with the naming process. If you need us to help you with the name, we help with that logo. We then get your identity package put together. Identity is your business card, your sign, your rack card, any type of information that you can kind of see in the office. We also then start with your website. So you get full ownership of your website. And that's something that I maybe want to talk about later is full ownership of your website. You are not locked into any type of agreement. We then make sure that you get that website established. We start working on that search engine optimization. Heading back to websites real quick, we make sure that your website has SEO friendly copy. So custom copy that's built around your practice and your location. That is something that is super important, especially with that search engine optimization. After that SEO has kind of gone live, that is a year-long campaign. We work on your website for an entire year, whether or not there's blogs included in that. New copy gets added to the website regularly. We're updating plugins. We're making sure that your information is being found on all of the search engines. So that's very important as well.
And correct me if I'm wrong, Desiree. I'm interrupting because that's what I do.
Yeah.
All of these are important to maximize where you come up if someone puts dentist 80210. Correct? If you don't have blogs, if you don't have all of these little plugins, it kind of puts you down the list. So what you're trying to do is encompass something that you know works no matter what zip code it is. And the things you're talking about are all important and inclusive to your products. And people should, if they're not using you guys for some reason, great, but they should make sure that all of these points are being talked about, correct?
100%. Communication with your marketing company is very important.
100%. I love it. Let's actually, okay, so she's laid the groundwork here. Let's start taking these in pieces. Direct
mail, wanted to throw that very last thing, direct mail, online ads.
And those things are not dead, by the way.
No.
Those things are not dead.
Everyone is sitting at home right now looking for a way to get out of their house. I'm going to go check the mail finally in 10 years. You know what I mean? No, people are out there looking to get out of their house.
Yeah.
I'm seeing a huge uptick in print, and Desiree, your firm has helped my clients see that, and the way you guys approach direct mail. Let's table direct mail for a second because we're getting ahead of ourselves. So we've got identity, and I always used to say that marketing is very much like a bunch of spiders out in the internet web, right? The world of the internet web, Yeah. And the more Google sends spiders out to read all of this crap.
Exactly.
And the more crap you throw into it, the more it's like, oh, there's all these little spiders all talking about you. And so if you don't have enough things that these spiders can find, you're not going to show up. So we talked about the baseline, the identity stuff doesn't really get you spiders, but it makes your brand look good. Website. Let's focus on website because that's usually the first thing after identity.
A lot of people, and we talk about this, my buddy did, put on that hat, right? My buddy, can do the website for me. Or, my sister does websites. She can do this for me, right?
Yeah.
They're probably not going to know about that copy and they're just cutting and pasting and pulling that stuff in.
Yeah.
Beyond just that, I want to know this. Mike talked about a $25,000 to $30,000 budget from a marketing perspective,
Yep.
right? Do you break that up into monthly payments, or do you want that whole dollar amount from that bank on day one when they sign up for you? Can you tell me that?
Good
Because
question.
I want to know how the budget
No, that's
cash.
a really good. I mean, we are so flexible with our payment plans. What we make sure to do is work with the bank and we work with their budget. So if they can put maybe 50% down and then do payments for the rest of the year, definitely can. However, if you want to pay in full, you of course get a pay in full discount.
Got it.
So
Cool.
you have to remember that if it's built into your marketing budget, into that bank, pay it up front. We will give you a smoking discount on pay in fulls. And I mean, that's just the way it is. I mean,
Right.
yeah, we'll still definitely work with you on a payment plan, but that's, what it is. And we're definitely flexible and we have a lot of different packages.
Well, I want to talk about that. And Mike, I want to know your perspective, because here's the thing. From the bucketing of, hey, we preserved this amount for marketing, right? Everyone talks about preserving cash flow. I guess the propensity, if that money's already spent and gone and it was already allocated for marketing, how do you feel about them paying up front, getting a, 10, 50, I don't know the discount, it could be 8 cents, but whatever that discount amount, that's real money in the end.
Mm-hmm.
And that money should be allocated where it doesn't go away. Because the last thing Desiree wants is 8 months in, hey, we have no more money for you. Right?
Yeah, I've got something to say about that. And it might take us down a different path, but we tend to do that in this show. I have worked with so many clients and they love to bring in these marketing companies that I've just never heard of. And I don't know everybody, and that's okay. Desiree and Company, we should rename your brand, Desiree. Affordable Image, I know, is dental specific. And not only do I know they're dental specific, but they actually have a niche within a niche, in my opinion, and that's with startups specifically. So I think they just do a lot of startups. And so I feel good about someone investing in affordable, but as we have listeners all over the country and whatever, my first reaction to dropping a 25 dime piece right on the table and saying, we invest in you, that scares the absolute shit out of me, frankly, because what if we start going down a path and we're not getting any traction in 3 to 6 months? We could talk about ROI next. Or I'm done with you, or I want to change some things up. And so that scares the crap out of me. So I tend to be the quarterly spend guy versus the year spend guy. So what are your thoughts about that, Desiree? What do you say about that? I mean,
that's scary. You're right. It is very, very scary.
Take your Desiree and company out of it.
No, it is, and sometimes I get surprised. But I think that with Affordable Image, I think people trust us, and with our network, like Mike was saying, and our peers that we work with, we get a lot of referrals from people. Our online presence is great, but we love those one-on-one contact referrals from our network. And I think that's where the trust comes in, that they're okay with that. They understand that, in 3 months, maybe there is a hiccup of some sort, but our network also understands that if there is a hiccup, we're there to solve it. And we're not just going to say, oh, well, bye. They know who we are. And that's what's important, I think, is that you have that trust with your marketing company as well. And that's why we started these different campaigns. If somebody does want to pay us in a quarterly, say, they're not comfortable with paying 100% upfront, that is A-okay. We will work around the budget. We will figure it out because we want them to trust us. And if they don't for some reason, we definitely understand, and we will always fix it for sure.
Well, and I think there's validity to this because from my perspective, I was on that side. We actually went through 3 different marketing companies throughout the process, and actually 2 different website builds because they just didn't produce what they wanted. And then in the end, when we finally figured it out with some of the de novos, we were getting 60 plus new patients a month.
That's awesome.
When it encompassed a website with the right messaging, SEO, SEM that collaborated with the website. And then obviously we had HubSpot. We had a bunch of stuff in the back end of this stuff. So it was fairly robust, but it actually gave us the reporting and the information we needed. Mm-hmm. And so I like the idea of a quarterly or something where we can, say
track.
Yeah.
Track. Well, let's talk about
that. Goes into ROI, not REI. Yeah, I'm from Colorado, so there's some spend there.
Yeah, absolutely. There's some spend.
So one thing that I want to talk about, because everyone talks about ROI on marketing.
Yep.
I want to, it's kind of like when a patient says, "What's my warranty on this crown?" Right? There's a lot of nuances that play into the warranty on that crown.
Yeah. How are you treating that crown? Have you been brushing daily and flossing? Have you been keeping up with that crown's maintenance?
you chew on ice, all these things. So I'm not giving you a scapegoat out, but what I want to do is, from my perspective, I want people to understand ROI is only as good as their involvement and the collaboration of the marketing company, the vision, the branding, and how much time and spend they're putting on this thing. 100%. Then you could really figure out what the ROI is. But, I don't, there's too many other factors involved that could play into that ROI. I think it's more about managing what the spend is and understanding what you're doing. Not necessarily putting the checkbox of, this is all on you, Des.
Yeah. And thank you for answering that question for me. No, we get the question a lot. What's my ROI? What is it? We cannot compare apples to apples. This practice may have gotten this, but this practice could be getting this. Your location depends on this. Who your demographic is. Are you going to be a cash only practice? I mean, there's just
hang on. Also, what if you have a mark on, from the board, the demo board, that's actually something that you as a marketing company sometimes can't overcome.
Nope.
Right?
If you have a bad review, we can try our hardest to take that down and dispute it. But sometimes when those are up there and you get into an online argument and it's 100% on you. And we try our hardest to make sure that with our direct mail campaigns, we have a call tracking number on there. Yeah. We have a dashboard that you can listen to your front desk answering these calls. Are they saying, "Oh, we can't treat that here. I'll give you a phone number of someone down the road"? Are they saying, "Oh, sorry, we're booked that day"? How are they answering the calls? How are you taking in those patients when they come in? Are you converting them?
Right.
I mean, there's just so many factors that come into play. And we, again, will try our hardest to, get you to where you need to be, but you need to put in some effort as well to see a return.
I couldn't agree more. And, there's all sorts of, bolt-on, add-on things that could provide information, whether it's call monitoring, whether it's AI that's talking about, understanding words and things that people are missing along the way. I mean, we're in a whole different world right now, and every month and every year changes that perspective of, the concierge service that you should be providing for new patients. Right. And
it is literally taking everything I have not to just completely take over this conversation, because
I can see you shaking in your seat.
I don't know if it's the coffee. It's you're spot on, both of you. I times it.
Are we going to 1,000?
I'm going to 10x it right now. I'm going to 10x this. This is 1,000%. A couple things about this. I hear way too much as a consultant that my marketing company sucks. And as much as I,
And by the way, there are a lot that suck.
Oh, don't get me started. Okay, that's a different conversation. Maybe John, you and I can have that conversation without Desra. I don't want to take all her time. But the reality is if you aren't tracking yourself inside your own practice management software, if you aren't listening and paying attention to the customer experience, which we're going to next with Paula Quinn at Next Level, like all of it matters. All of it matters. Now Desra's team can take a patient, can take you to water, but they can't make you drink, right? I mean, they can lead the horse. They can put a straw up and they can push your head down to take a drink. But if you don't take the drink, you don't take the drink. And so at the end of the day, too many doctors 100% rely on the marketing company to do everything for them. Right. And I'm sorry, you're not paying them $100,000 to do that.
Yeah.
You're paying them 15 to 30 grand. And that's not much. That's not much.
Yeah. Pay us 100. Well, you will get, we will answer the phones for you.
What? Besides the website, print, we can get into some print here in a minute, but like, all of these things that the spiders are going to pick up that you guys are responsible for, that you guys charge for. How do you help our listeners, your clients, do the community outreach stuff? Because in my opinion, the community and the grassroots type marketing stuff, that's all blood, sweat, and tears. And you can't do it for them, but you can do some of these things to help them do it. How do you push them to do that at your firm?
No, it's a really good question. During that immediate discovery meeting, we ask them what their community outreach is going to be. We make sure that we supply them with that informative rack card, with those business cards, because we do have a print house here. They can have us print it for them on demand, immediately get that over to them. We can create banner stands. We can create table tents. We can create the actual setups. We find out, we encourage them to go around to their community and start networking, leaving some of those informative rack cards at the front desk, asking if they can even co-market. So say, you may not have money right now for a direct mail campaign. You know what? You could ask down the road, your pediatrician if they want to do a co-marketing with you. Right. Why not do a direct mail campaign with, people that are in your area, to the community around you? There is so many ways that you can get your name out there and find out who you are and who your community is through even just print, through your social media, there's just a million different platforms. I feel like it can go on and on and on.
See, that's your mind. Your mind thinks about marketing. Where my mind went was like a dentist should call the candy shop and they should co-market. Like, exactly. That should be a brilliant idea. Go. Yeah. I just copyrighted that, by the way. I don't know if it's possible, but copyright. But listen, that's why you deal with a marketing company, because they think outside the box. They say, don't put pens on the table. That doesn't work. Use this, when you go to, once we start having, little fairs and, community fairs. This is what they need. Don't waste money on things. Work with someone that understands the market and understands how the penetration and how the stickiness of this stuff is.
Yeah. There's a lot of fun ideas out there. Really.
To me, to put a bow on community strategy or grassroots efforts or however we want to talk about it, to tie it up with a bow, the marketing company, in my mind, gives you the tools to approach those community members, those businesses, to do those things. But to me, it's the follow through. Meaning, if I go to the gym or if I go to the CPA firm, the small CPA firm right across the street that probably doesn't have dental insurance, you go, Desert puts out this really cute package, like a cup. I'll plug here for a client, right? A cup, and delivers that maybe Desert's team put together for you. The question is, are you going to go approach them again and again and again until you get all of those people? It really is the follow through with a lot of those efforts, right?
Yeah, 100%. And there's just so many different things that we can help you. I mean, thank you cards. Instead of going back again, write them a thank you card with the brand.
Yeah.
Thanks again for letting me, be there. Hey, don't forget to follow us on Facebook. Hey, a reminder. Hey, look at this. Don't forget, if you had any questions about us or if we went and visit you, or take a photo of you and the basket over at that practice and say, just another amazing community, really enjoying learning who my neighbors are. You are doing a double tag. You are engaging so much. And I would love to just continue and continue and continue. But a lot of times they just don't embrace these ideas. Again, you can lead the horse, but if they don't decide to drink.
Well, I'm going to make two more points, and then I have I want to move on, but working with apartment complexes, I think don't have your office manager do it. I think it's a lot cooler if you're the owner you have humility and you go over and you say, this is what I'm doing. This is what I'd like to do for your, new people coming in. That worked great for us, insanely well. And we did it. I mean, one of the places we gave bottles of wine for the new owners, like we spent money on it, but it was worth it. Like, so, think about what you're doing and have the gumption to go and do it yourself. Don't send someone that doesn't have the same vested interest that you have. Yep. That's what I have to say. So I want to go, some people think this is going backwards in time in marketing. I actually don't think it is. And that's why there's still a strong place for print and for direct to consumer marketing. This is where a lot of people try and get that ROI question. I don't want to go backwards in time on that, but, talk to us about that messaging on print and really the strategy, of getting to the exact person that you want this print document to get to. So it's not just a blast.
Yeah. So direct mail, again, is a very, very important beast in marketing still to this day. Again, lots of people think marketing, direct mail is dead. Sending a letter in the mail is dead. It's not. And we see the results from the calls that we get in, from the patients that we see. And who doesn't like to have that postcard in their purse, on their fridge, in the bathroom? You're getting a constant reminder in front of these people to, it's just reminding them all the time. They're driving past your practice. They have the postcard sitting in their bag of mail sitting next to them. They see the online ads that we've geo-fenced around your practice. Yep. Like Mike was saying, it's as many bridges and legs to your practice we want to get out there. And direct mail really helps all of that. And we do look around the practice for your competition. We kind of see, what are other people doing? Yeah. You don't want to undercut everybody in the neighborhood because you don't want to be that person, and you don't want to start that trickle effect because that can really be bad. And we have seen it happen. Be competitive. There's going to be so many other practices around you, but what's your niche? Why are you different? Why are they connecting to your postcard instead of the other postcard that came in? We want to make sure that your face is on there. We want to make sure there's a bio. We want to make sure that there's pictures of your brand new office. Like, they want to see this information. They may connect and say, oh my gosh, my son is that age. How cute. I want to go in there and, connect. I love that photo.
Here's the thing. What people have to understand is not everyone is attached to a dentist, right? That lives in that community. You could actually get it to new homeowners in that community. You can get that focused with your direct mail campaign. It costs 100%. Money, but that's a very poignant person that you're going after.
Mm-hmm. So ended on that with print. I've seen a 3-to-1 ROI on print in the last 12 months. And let me define what that means, because I hate when people throw out statistics and they don't define it. I've personally seen, if the call is being tracked, like Desiree just said, they put a phone number and it's being tracked, and you actually confirm that that's a real patient, because you get calls all the time from robots and crap. So if it's actually a real patient put into the system, tagged under print campaign 1, and you pull a production report, here's a side note or an asterisk, for a 12-month period on that patient, not a 6-month, but a 12-month, because that gets you a couple cleanings. So for a 12-month period, if you're doing good recall, make sure you're getting good recall on the new patients. They have to have an appointment. We'll talk about that later. But if you do that and your systems are tight, I'm seeing a 3-to-1 gross production, not net, gross production dollar amount, $3 to $1 spent. So it pays out, period, end of story. I've seen it. It works. You just have to track it, and you have to put the right information in your dental software. Otherwise, you don't know if it's working. So, and that's not everybody, by the way. That's most. It's an average. So don't kill me if your spot in the middle of Tallahassee nowhere isn't getting that to happen.
Thank you.
Yes. Mikey D in the house. That's right. So, guys, we've said it, and we've done such a poor job this episode. Follow us on Facebook. I mean, it's at the end of the episode, so no one usually gets through these whole things. But if they do, freaking follow us, for God's sakes. I don't know what is your problem, but follow us. And we're having a lot of fun here. Part 2's coming up next. And Desiree, appreciate your time. Appreciate you.
Guys.
See you later.
Bye.
Thanks for listening. Tune in next week for another truth-filled episode of Startup Uncensored. Check out Startup Uncensored on Facebook and YouTube. Click like, subscribe, and interact with Michael and John.